documentary from 2014 and writer-director Walter Moyse. An invasive, low-budget, psycho-stalker, misogynistic movie done in the style of a documentary, largely from the point of view of the disturbed protagonist. The peeping Tom purveyor of personal pleasure-taking in witnessing the terror he brings out in his female prey, whilst luring fragile-minded and vulnerable young women in with his well-delivered killer charm. This cunning character puts out adverts inviting young women who have personal fears that affect their daily lives to come forward and be filmed on camera as part of a social experiment in which he professes to be able to alleviate them of their burdens. Of course, in reality, this beguiling filmmaker and self-proclaimed guru is a sexually disturbed deviant who takes pleasure in witnessing, up close and personal, the suffering of such vulnerable young women, and his camera lens is merely a metaphor, foreplay for murder. A sleazy slice of the Los Angeles Tinseltown, tarnished once again as the Hollywood Hills of Eyes, and anyone can be made famous for even a few minutes, and then it's dead and gone forever. The documented story style centres on a pretty young woman named Sandra, who gets chosen by the filmmaker, who is throughout the film only ever referred to as Dee, to become his latest project to help overcome her fears. Sandra signs up for what she is told is a 6-session course to take place over a 3-week period, during which time she shall agree to be placed in front of a camera and posed a varying set of questions, the answers to which she gives Dee assures that she shall not have judgment given upon, but asks that she be honest in giving her responses. In return, Dee proclaims that he shall uncover the focus of her fears. As the sessions play out, Sandra divulges that her fears are of an unknown man choking her and being helpless to stop it from happening. Little is she aware that in giving up her darkest and most personally unsettling phobia, that she is fueling the very deeply deranged desires within her trusted confidant, and feeding him his next dark half-role play to enact out his pernicious pseudo-sexual perversity to a killer climax. Things soon start to spiral out of control around the home life of Sandra and her relationship with her boyfriend, as Dee builds his twisted fantasy world up around what she has entrusted him with about herself. Here the movie progresses into what the audience is given a literal worded prompt on screen for, as Dee enters into playing out his phases, of which there are 3, and the first has him secretly setting up hidden cameras in Sandra's apartment and stalking around her home, at first when she is out, and then eerily at night while she sleeps. Dee sits alone in the dark watching wildlife programs where animals in nature maim and kill. He also takes a sadistic pleasure in slowly watching bugs in his own environment die a slow, agonizing death as he continually sprays them with an industrial strength killing agent rather than simply squashing them for a quick end. Phase 2 takes things up a level as Dee films Sandra in her apartment right up next to her as she sleeps, and then assaults her in her own home, but drugs her when he is done, leaving a shaken and unnerved Sandra upon waking the next morning, questioning if she had had a nightmare or had her boyfriend actually assaulted her. Dee, after his attack, place disturbed items back to as they were before, as if nothing had occurred. Come phase 3, this neurological nasty, of course, fully intensifies, and the invasive relationship of Dee towards Sandra is violently culminated with a twisted play that would take all still watching to this point by genuine surprise. The documentary is unsettling, but in part quite creative in style and visual deployment. Film delivery, narrative and underground movie making auteurism will likely struggle to find its small audience that it's aiming for. This is more an exercise in filmmaking technique for a class of undergraduate movie study students to watch and debate. For general film goers, a 4.5 out of 10 view rating is about apt for what is too close a semblance of an actual underground shot, autoerotica, psycho snuff, mental torture piece put to tape. Imagine Peeping Tom, Sliver and Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer combined, unfiltered and thrown out of even every sensor's clarification and process the world over. This documentary dictates that you do your own due diligence before deciding to just get drawn in to watch for yourselves. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Buckaroobanzai is pure nutty fun.
Okay.